Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick video. I'm in the process of replacing the power steering pump on my '93 Corvette, and I'd seen another video. Forgot the guy's name, something Grizzly. Replaced the same water pump, I think, on a '92 or a '93. And I ran into the same issue. I think you should go check out his video. His has more information on actually removing everything here. But I ran into the same issue with the pump hose that goes to the reservoir and the hose clamps. So the hose clamps were facing basically the driver's side, outside of the car. And it was a little bit of a bear to get. I actually got an 8mm socket in. There's a little bit of a relief area under here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of a relief area underneath this pulley. There's actually a hole. Let's see if you can see the light coming through there underneath. So that little relief enabled me to get that hose clamp loose, so I could pull the the hardline pump hose out of the rubber hose. So that's first things first. Secondly, it was a much easier task on getting everything out of here by removing the alternator completely, and also pulling the 4 bolts out of the air conditioner pump. And I was able to actually take this and rest it. I moved it this way. And I actually was able to remove the pulley while it was still in the car. I got the pulley off, which then enabled me to lift the pump further this way to reveal the hose clamp a little bit better. So I suggest, if anybody's doing this job, again, my car is a '93. I don't know if they're similar on all, 90s, 90 to 96. I do not know. My suggestion: AC pump, alternator completely out. And then you do, and I'm going to guess, depending on the actual puller that you have, you will be able to pull the pulley off, again, giving you more clearance because that pulley lines up somewhere here. Okay, and there's the idler pulley. So that pulley sticks out here. If you can get that pulley out, I actually remove the bolts and let it flop a little bit. And my hand on the pulley, I was able to pull it. I actually was able to get in under here. These hoses will be in the way. You have to remove the pump and let it drop, and then you can use your pulley puller and get it off while it's in the car. That's up to you. I chose to do it that way. You can probably, if you don't have this issue like I had with the hose clamp, you'll be able to remove it while the pulley is still on power steering pump. So that's that issue taken care of. I want to give a little, I'm not being paid by or endorsed by Zip Corvette, but they sent me a remanufactured pulley with a core charge. So I'll be returning the core. Okay, they are located in Mechanicsville, Virginia. I ordered it on the 14th. I had it on the 18th. And here is my old pump. And the reason I removed it was because I had this terrible whining noise. It was more like a squeal, a high-pitched whistle when the car was under load. So in other words, if your car was shifting from like second to third gear, you'd hear that crazy whining sound, and then as it shifted, that pulsing, whining, nasty noise went away. And I couldn't, this isn't loose or shaky by any means, but under load it probably does some weird crap. So in order for me to actually, get down to brass tacks and figure that this was the problem, obviously I went to forums. A lot of people said they suffered the same thing. The idler pulleys also mimic that sound. So I said, you know what, let me order a couple of pulleys. The idler pulleys, I'll get a new pump. And while I'm in there, I'll do it all at once, change the belt, and be done with it. But there's my old one, probably the original, not sure. I'm going to guess those are GM markings. I don't know. Not an expert on these cars by any means. I'm a brand new owner. I just got the car in August. And this is the remanufactured pump. A really nice piece. The ends are polished. Milled really nicely. I guess they may have taken off the old coating and old paint. I guess they sandblast or do some kind of media blast. Everything looks really, really nice. And going back to the forums and listening to some of the folks that had some issues, the other issue that I did notice is when the car was idling and I had the hood open, this pulley was a little bit, was doing a little wobble, which made me think that the bearing in here was shot. But like I said, I can't move it. It doesn't seem like there's any play or wobble in it, but under load it might be a different story. So I was kind of nervous. I thought maybe that this was maybe the pulley itself got womped on by somebody with a hammer, and that it was just torqued a little bit. But that's not the case. It's actually straight. It's fine. And one last thing. If you have to do this job, this is the first time I've ever attempted this on any car. I've never replaced a power steering pump in 35 years of owning a car and turning my own wrenches on some of my stuff. So I was a little nervous about doing this, only because of so many mixed reviews on some of the tools people use. They'll go to a auto parts store and rent whatever they have available. I actually, when I discovered this problem with the wobbly pulley, just like most of us do, the first place we go to is either a reputable parts store or Amazon and just look for certain brands. So that's what I did. I went and I looked on Amazon. I read the reviews on this gear wrench set. It is gear wrench set, I guess this is the number here, 41560D. And I'll tell you what, as the nightmare part was actually having your both hands inside the engine bay trying to remove the pulley, but I probably could have done that a better job, but that's on me. The tool itself worked great. So all my reservations on hearing some of the nightmares, people are like, oh, I bought this set and I snapped the bolt, I didn't even get the pulley off, or I got the pulley off and then when I was reinstalling it, I snapped the bolt. I think a lot of it, I don't know. Maybe it's just inexperience. Like I said, I'm not experienced at doing this. This is the first one I've ever done, but I listened to what people say on some of the forums. I followed that one particular video. I'll probably link it in the description down below. And I did the right things, I think, because obviously the pulley is on. I didn't suffer any breakage. It doesn't even look like this suffered any stripping. No metal shavings. Obviously, I think with any kind of procedure like this, where you're using force against force, you're going to want to have some sort of lubrications, especially on a threaded object like this. And all it took was a little liquid wrench, and my pulley is in. It is flush. It is not making any more wobbly, no more wobbly symptoms. But then again, I could put it in the car, and just like I said, maybe because that was under load when I noticed the wobble. Hopefully that doesn't happen here. I'm going to hedge my bets and say once I get everything in and hooked back up, that problem is going to be resolved. But I wanted to put a little shout out to Zip for providing a part. They do have new ones without a core charge. So if you've never shopped there before, that was the first time I shopped there, and I did it on recommendation of a few people. The part looks good. It remains to be seen how well the See how long it lasts. Hopefully it lasts for the remainder of the time I'm owning this car. But you know what? In the bigger picture, if I ever had to replace this pump again, wouldn't I just grab my stuff and do it, because I was really apprehensive about doing it. But sometimes you just gotta pull on your big boy pants and get down to it, because like I said, I'd never done one of these before. I knew I could get it out of the car. This was the part that really bothered me, was getting this pulley off. I've heard nightmares about guys, but they actually sometimes back in the day when you could actually order one of these pulleys and still get one that was brand new, they made them out of plastics and some kind of hybrid, whatever it was. And if you start whomping on it with a hammer, you're breaking them. But this is probably the original metal. And that took away my apprehension about removing it and getting it on. But I was still a little apprehensive about the tool and hearing nightmares about people breaking bolts. And, sometimes you got to take it with a grain of salt. Even though I'm inexperienced at doing this, not my first time with my hands on a wrench, or doing something that might, turn into a disaster. So go into it with be wary and cautious. Take your time. This is actually day 2 of me doing this. Yesterday, I just got everything out and cleaned up, a little bit of the mess that I made while doing it. And I figured if it takes me a couple of days to do this, big whoop. It's not like I'm driving the car. She's tucked away in the garage basically for the winter, and while all of this lovely snow and salt and road brine that they put on the roads goes away. So she won't be going out other than to sit in the driveway. So I had some downtime and figured, let me take my time with this. Maybe I will do a follow-up with some of the reassembly of this. I knew I wasn't going to have the wherewithal and patience to actually do a video on how I removed all of this, and then go back and edit a video and voiceovers, and Christmas is a few days away. So I figured I would just give it a little look into what's going on when you actually take it out. Maybe this might help somebody. This is what you're going to see. There's my hard line for the pump. We're going to clean that up, get a little brake cleaner on there before we reinstall that. There's a brand new belt. It's either a Gates or a Dayco belt, I think. I don't remember. I think it's a Gates belt. But I got that started on the balancer side already. So you can see it's lined up. So just some, think about how you're doing things in reverse. Get ahead of yourself a little bit in preparation. So that belt is already around the balancer end. And now, as I bolt all of this up, all I'm going to have to do is snake. The belt actually comes up on your diagram. You can see it comes up between the 2 idler pulleys around the outside of here. So I'll snake that belt right through here. It's already on the balancer in the back. Snake it up through here. And hopefully I'll have an easy reinstall of the new belt. And the other thing, when you're doing this, you want to be careful. I don't know if this is on all 93s, 90s, or just all C4s in general. I guess your spark plug wires route under here to get to the OptiSpark. So you don't want to be wrenching and hammering and turning things or putting screwdrivers down there, because the last thing you want to do is puncture one of your wires and possibly short something out. So be careful. It's not a terrible job to remove all of this stuff, but we're going to see how much of if it is a terrible job to replace it and we have any issues there. But that's all I wanted to do for you guys. Give you a quick little video on some parts, where I purchased them. And actually, here's the box. It looks like these parts maybe, or maybe this is just a box they had lying around in the shop. I don't know if this is the actual company that does the remanufacturers for Zip, and that's where they get them from. I haven't looked them up, but there's their web address, Laris or lariscorp.com. So take a look. So I'm actually going to give them a call later today because I'm going to have to pack this up and ship it back to get my core refund. I think you have 30 days from the day of shipment. So I'm looking at about day 7 or day 8 now. So I'll pack this up and get it in the mail tomorrow. But that's it. Again, go look, at this gear wrench set. 4156DD. I only used. Let's see if I can find it. I just had it. This is the one I use for removal. The stud just goes in; it doesn't thread in. And then I don't know what happened to the other stud for the install. Oh, it's right here. And installation was just this threaded in. Thread that until it hits bottom, and then you wrench on this piece to push it down. Now I'll tell you a little. I probably got to where there was maybe 1/4 of an inch of a gap in here, and it started to get really tight. So I took this down into my basement. All I did was I put that. I put this end of the nut, or the bolt, in the vise. So this was upside down in my vise to keep that bolt from turning, and then I held the wheel with one hand. Basically, it was upside down. I held the pulley with one hand, and then underneath here, I put my wrench on that nut, and opposite forces. Turn the pulley one way, push the wrench with the other hand, and kept removing this piece to see how much of this shaft was being revealed. Because I knew if I went too far, that would be probably the point where you're trying to force something and you would break a bolt. So, it's not just wrench until you can't go anymore. Wrench it, you start getting tension, back it off, and look at what you're seeing here. Now, I'm thinking that if this pulley doesn't line up quite the same way, I might be able to put the set back in while it's in the car and crank down on this to push it in a little bit if need be. But I think that was about the tolerance when I took the old one out. It wasn't to the top of the pulley, it was to the top of that finished edge inside. That's it. I figured this might help if you guys are looking, and if guys are looking or people are looking and they have any other things that they could add to this experience for some people who may want to tackle this on their own and not pay a big garage bill, because I would say by the book it's got to be every bit of a 4 to 6 hour job. So you're saving yourself 4 to 6 hours of labor by doing it yourself and just paying for parts and maybe investing in the tools. So leave your comments underneath if you can add anything. That's super helpful. I've noticed a lot of people in the C4 community are really trying to help each other with these cars, because they're obviously they're getting older, and there's not a lot of third parties that are out there reproducing parts for these yet. Hopefully that changes. And taking these cars to a dealer these days probably isn't your best bet either, because whoever's working on it is probably younger than the actual age of the car. For the most part, new technicians are probably 25, 26, just around the age of this car. So they were born when this car came out. They don't have that kind of experience that an older experienced technician does. And believe me, we appreciate knowing where some of those technicians are, if they're retired or they're just setting up shop somewhere and working on some of these cars too. So if you're one of those guys, leave your name in the comments, because we need to know who you are and where you are, because we can't do it all, although some of us think we can. So important things to know. Keep that community tight. And I really appreciate some of the comments I've gotten on I think I only posted one so far. It was just my initial video on this car. I appreciate some of the people that have reached out in private messages telling me their They're good stories and some of the things to watch out for. Although there doesn't seem to be many other than, some of the electrical stuff, and I think that's across the board on all C4 models. If they're not well maintained and cared for, that stuff kind of just goes wonky. So that's it, guys. I hope everybody has a great Christmas. Let me turn this around. I don't know if you're going to see my crazy head. I hope everybody has a great Christmas, and continues to enjoy these cars and enjoys the channels and connects a little bit, try to help each other out. And more importantly, I hope everybody's well through all this crazy stuff we're going through. So I'll see you in the next video, guys.